Nós estamos recebendo a visita com exclusividade do ministro das Relações Exteriores, Dr. Jaishankar, que está agora visitando o Brasil e a América do Sul. Eu queria começar essa entrevista falando sobre como o Brasil e a Índia começam a desenvolver ainda mais a sua parceria em diferentes setores, como alimento, energia, produção de etanol, a produção de vacinas e parcerias também para a educação e desenvolvimento de profissionais, engenheiros e uma série de outros campos e formação educacional aqui no Brasil. Eu vou começar perguntando sobre esses temas para o ministro, que recebe a equipe da Bandeirantes TV e também do Band News TV com exclusividade. Ministro, eu quero começar essa entrevista perguntando sobre o atual momento que o senhor está conhecendo aqui na América do Sul e, em especial, no Brasil. Quais são as oportunidades de relações comerciais e internacionais entre Brasil e Índia neste momento?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me say what a great pleasure it is to do this interview, to actually present many of our views and interests through you to the Brazilian people. So appreciate it very much. Yes, you are right. For me, it's the first visit to Brazil. I had come to Latin America but a long time ago, 25 years ago. So for me, this is actually the first time to Brazil. I'm going on from here to Argentina as well. But Brazil is a very, very important partner for us. It's a very important political partner. And, you know, our relationship on a range of issues, bilateral, multilateral, been very strong. We are also members of BRICS. We are also members of the IPSA, the India, Brazil, South Africa combination. We work right now in the Security Council. We are members there as well. But a large part of our relationship is also increasingly economic. Our trade with Brazil last year was $12 billion. If I were to take Latin America as a whole, it was $45 billion. So I am here really to progress the entire relationship, to strengthen our political dialogue, to find ways of doing more business. Today I had a meeting with the FIESP members. And when I go to Brasilia, my message will be really of India as a partner, strong partner. Distance is not a problem anymore. I think we are much closer politically. We are much closer in a globalized world economically. And we have to find ways of growing this.
Ministro, a Companhia Estatal de Petróleo da Índia tem anunciado o interesse de trazer investimentos aqui para o Brasil. Em que pé está esse projeto? Ele já começou? Quais são as perspectivas para este programa, para esse projeto da Índia aqui no Brasil?
Well, yes, it is in development. We have already invested about little more than $4.2 billion. But we will now be scaling up our investment. My government has approved an increased investment of $1.6 billion. And energy is today a very important area of our cooperation. You can see, especially after the Ukraine conflict started, how worried countries are about energy security. So Brazil today can be a very important partner for us in the energy field, not just in petroleum, not just in oil and gas, but also Brazil is in many ways a model when it comes to ethanol. So we look at biofuels as well. That is also an area where there is a lot that we can gain working with Brazil, and I would say Brazil has been an example for us.
Ministro, o conflito entre Rússia e Ucrânia já alcançou 6 meses. O senhor acredita que já existem desdobramentos na geopolítica mundial desse conflito?
Well, it is a very serious development. It is a very serious development because the consequences of the conflict are well beyond Europe. that it is affecting the entire world. If you see energy prices, if you see food prices, if you look at trade disruptions, it's actually been, there's no country in the world which is unaffected. So we are quite worried about it. From the very beginning, we have been very clear that there should be a return to dialogue and diplomacy. That remains our position. My Prime Minister has spoken to President Putin and to President Zelensky. I have myself spoken to Foreign Minister Lavrov. I met him a few times, also to Minister Kuleba of Ukraine. So we think the conflict is not helping anybody. We believe that the sooner there is an end to the violence, return to the negotiation table, the better.
Ministro, num mundo polarizado hoje, com uma liderança expressiva dos Estados Unidos no Ocidente e papel predominante da China na Ásia, qual é a visão da Índia sobre esta polarização mundial?
Well, first of all, where Asia is concerned, we are an Asian country. Okay, I don't think Asia should have anybody's predominance. Asia should be a continent where different powers coexist, give space to each other, respect each other, work with each other. So we would like to see a multipolar Asia. Only if there is a multipolar Asia will there be a multipolar world. Now, between the United States and China, obviously the relationship is also going through a very complicated phase right now. There are a lot of issues. But I want to say our relationship with the US, for example, right now is maybe the best ever. We have very good political cooperation. Our trade is booming. Our technology, our civil society, education, these are all areas. Our defense cooperation is very strong. So it's not so simple as Asia and the West. Within Asia, there are a lot of interests. Within the West, there are a lot of interests. So I think these need to be taken into account. But my overall answer to you would be that it's important for countries to respect each other's interests, to get along with each other. I don't think it is the domination of any country over other countries or other regions is acceptable in this age and time. It happened in history, but that is history.
O senhor vê, a partir desse conflito entre Rússia e Ucrânia, algum impacto específico para os BRICS?
We've not had a physical meeting of the BRICS. We've had virtual meeting after the conflict started. But I would certainly hope, because the BRICS has some well-defined interests, the BRICS would like to create a much more multipolar world. The BRICS would like to ensure that there is a economic rebalancing in the world. I don't think those issues would be directly impacted by the Ukraine conflict. And my sense is that the other members of the BRICS also would like to see peace and an end to the conflict, because, as I said, the conflict does not serve anybody's purpose. But it is something I will be discussing tomorrow when I go to Brasilia.
Well, in the last years, India has increasing the rates of raising their economy. Do you think this is sustainable for the next years?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, even this year, last year we grew at 8.7%, and this year we are very confident we'll grow over 8. despite high fuel prices, despite the problems from the Ukraine conflict and the COVID pandemic. We have a government in India which is very reformist, which is prepared to make very major changes in order to increase the quality of life for its people. At a very basic level, it has created a social safety net. It is providing facilities on a mass scale, which has never happened really in our country's history before. So if you look at today new houses which are being built, how many houses are getting electricity, what are the number of houses which are getting water connection, the road building which is going on, in fact even the sort of the health system which is being created. It is really on a scale which is staggering. At the same time, there's a great consciousness that we have to make it easier, more comfortable for people to live. So less regulations, more friendly government, make it easier also to do business, try to get more investment, private investment, public investment, domestic investment, foreign investment. So it has the overall mood very much of growth, and we have a young population. We also have today, especially because of the Prime Minister's personal vision, a very strong startup culture, a big effort to improve skills and talent among people. So it's very, very energetic right now. I mean, we have, if you say right now, more than 100 unicorns and 44 in the last year itself. So that will give you a sense of how quickly actually things are changing in the country. And with that kind of mood, you are talking of a few years. Can we sustain it? We think we can sustain it for a few decades.
Bom, nesse segmento de startups e de tecnologia, o senhor vê oportunidades entre a Índia e o Brasil?
Yes, I do. I do because, before I met you today, we had this very interesting meeting with the FIESP. And among the companies that I engaged with, I heard from Embraer and from WEG, who are making motors, and from the people who are involved with the ethanol business, Unicar. No? Brazil has a lot of big companies, and they will find R&D possibilities in India. They will find design and engineering possibilities in India. And I think this easier movement of people between India and Brazil, that would help a lot to do this. So I'm very optimistic about what our partnership can produce. I think our partnership can make a difference in energy. Our partnership can make a difference in aviation, because that is a big strength of Brazil, in biofuels, in sustainable growth, in actually wind energy. So there are very, very promising possibilities here.
Ministro, a Índia já tem uma população muito superior a 1 bilhão de pessoas. O desafio de prover alimentos para essa população não é um desafio trivial e fácil. Que oportunidades tem o Brasil de colaborar nesse desafio com a Índia?
Today we have reached a position where we produce enough food for ourselves. In fact, we have even started exporting, not in a big way, not like Brazil, but in different areas we also export a little bit. But you are correct. I think all of us have become very conscious of food security, like we are conscious of energy security. and it's I think it's one area where we definitely can find ways of collaborating. In fact, we have a very interesting initiative which is underway right now in animal husbandry. That we had a minister who deals with animal husbandry was here because you have very good livestock quality, and there's a lot that we can learn from your management and the productivity of your livestock. And demand for milk and milk products is going up as people become more prosperous. So what will happen in India as our population, it's not so much population increase alone. Now we are more than 1.3 billion. We are between 1.3, 1.4. It is also the same population will want higher quality of food products. So we have to make that available to them. So we have to improve our quality and our productivity and the range of what we produce, which means food processing industry, which means milk products. It would mean better poultry. So these are all. It would, in fact, one area again where you are helping right now with our food security is on edible oil. In India we use a lot of oil for cooking. Our imports are in billions of dollars, and because of Ukraine was a very big supplier of sunflower oil. So now we are importing a lot from Latin America, including from Brazil. I think Brazil itself this year has supplied us more than $1 billion of soya oil.
Os dois países, Índia e Brasil, têm boas oportunidades de desenvolver a produtividade e a tecnologia para a produção de etanol. Como é que o senhor vê essa questão?
We had initially set a target of 10% of ethanol blending. We then increased the target to 20%. Again, first we thought, okay, we will do 20% by 2030. We have now brought that forward. So I think we will try and achieve that by 2025. So ethanol blending is a very big part of our energy policy, because it has I think two big advantages at the same time. It is its carbon footprint is much less, and also because we will be producing the ethanol ourselves, it also gives us more security because we don't have to import it from somewhere else. But it isn't only our own usage and production. Brazil is the second biggest ethanol producer. We are now the third biggest. If we work together, we can convince the rest of the world to actually switch more to biofuels. So we have a common interest actually in propagating ethanol usage, and it's something we would like to very much work with Brazilian authorities.
Ministro, que outros segmentos têm interesse e apresentam oportunidades de relações bilaterais entre a Índia e o Brasil?
Already we have some good cooperation in the field of power transmission. We have a company here which is a very major player in building transmission systems. Similarly, we have good, very solid tie-ups when it comes to agrochemicals and with seeds. One of our big companies is again present here. Many of our IT companies have a history of working in Brazil. All our IT majors are here in some form. And from the Brazilian side, other than ethanol, I think there is some presence in the Indian economy in mining. I think some of your good engineering companies are there. In this world today, nobody is far away. Okay, this is a globalized economy. there is technology. We can pick up our phones. I could have done this interview with you on FaceTime. Yeah. Okay, so that era of distance is now behind us, and we have the possibility, we have the fit today to be stronger partners. That is very much a message that I'm carrying, and I believe, from President Bolsonaro was in India in 2020, and after that, there's really been a big pickup in our relationship. It's the responsibility of the government to encourage cooperation, and we will do that. But we have to then follow it up and make sure, whether it's business, whether it is media, whether it's civil society, we find ways of dealing more with each other. And I can tell you there's a lot of interest in India in working with Brazil.
Ministro, sustentabilidade é uma prioridade emergente no mundo todo. Que oportunidades esse segmento reserva para o Brasil e para a Índia? Existem programas que podem ser desenvolvidos em conjunto?
Our challenges are different because if you look at our population density, you look at our income levels, they are not the same. But the final objective is common. We after all, we live in the same planet. We both have very strong commitments which we have made in Glasgow and before that in Paris. So we are today making a big shift towards renewable energy. We already, solar has become a very major source of energy. We expect other forms, including wind, to pick up. There's a big focus on energy efficiency. But in real life, all of this takes place through small things and big things. If you have solar pumps, solar heaters, better building, mass transport, hybrid fuel. Again, I was today the meeting. I was told Sao Paulo is the 4th largest city in the world. But if you look at the quality of air, if you look at who's polluted, it's one of the least polluted cities in the world, despite having such a big population. So there are things we can learn from each other. It could be policies, it could be practices, it could be business, it could be products which we make. But climate action, green growth, sustainable development, I think is a very important area for both of us.
India has a key role in vaccine development. In these challenging times for the sanitary security, safety all over the world, well-being of the population, is there space for Brazil and India to advance in new cooperation in this sector? To develop or to enhance vaccines and other products to strengthen the health safety of the population?
Yes, I think there is. We have seen during COVID why it is important for countries to work with each other. You have a very strong pharmaceutical sector in Brazil. We also have in India. We think there is, by working together, by getting our pharmaceutical businesses together, we will be able to find products and scale which would be to our benefit. See, the big challenge in health will be that if you look at the developed world, the health costs are very high. We can't follow that model. We have to find more affordable healthcare models. And more affordable healthcare models means also medicines and medical services and medical products which are available, to people at a much lower income level. And to do that, we need that kind of scale. So it is an area where we'd be very keen to work together. And again, our pharmaceutical companies have been coming here. They're very keen if they can get more support, because we already do a lot of business in the US. So many of the largest number of US FDA factories which are approved outside US are in India. So we have a system by which the US FDA certifies our factories, our pharmaceutical plants. Similarly, we have a lot of certification in Europe. So we are today exporting to many countries based on certifications which we have already got. So we have to find it easier to do business.
Ministro, a Índia tem desenvolvido programas muito bem-sucedidos de formação profissional, especialmente em engenharia ou na área de tecnologia. O Brasil precisa desenvolver esse segmento também. Que oportunidades o senhor enxerga para o Brasil, especialmente com programas desse tipo de educação superior?
I think there are two aspects to this. One is education. We have now a new education policy which encourages our universities to collaborate more with foreign universities. We also want foreign students to come to India in larger numbers. We want exchanges of degrees between our universities. So one is to connect them up in education. But the other is what I spoke about earlier, which is the startup and innovation culture. If the startup community of Brazil and India have opportunities to interact more with each other. And in this area, language is never a problem. Young people figure out how to communicate. It's we people who struggle. So it is. My sense is that space of education, skill, talent, startup, innovation. That's a space, because we both have very large number of young people. We should actually fire them up and make them look at each other more strongly.
Bom, ministro, quero agradecer demais o seu tempo, a sua presença aqui, recebendo a equipe da TV Bandeirantes e do Band News TV com exclusividade. Thank you very much.